Hello everyone, Jojo here from Joyroute-jojo. I work as a Microsoft technical consultant. Welcome to Mastering Intune, your ultimate guide to harnessing the full potential of Microsoft Intune. Whether you are an IT professional, a system administrator, or an aspiring cloud enthusiast, this series is tailored to empowering you with the knowledge and skills needed to streamline device management, enhance security, and optimize productivity within your organization. This is a fast-paced 2-hour crash course is designed to get you up and running with Intune. Even if you have no prior experience, by the end of this course, you will be able to explain the benefits of using Microsoft Intune, configure the Intune for your organization, enroll devices and uses in Intune, manage mobile applications, create and enforce security policies, and much more. All right. So let's see what are the area of focus, the order which we are arranged this tutorial series. The first, we will see the overview of Intune Admin Center. What is Microsoft Intune? And we'll just log into the Intune Admin Center and we'll see the portal. I will just introduce the portal to you. Then we will learn how to enroll the devices into Intune. There is something called the auto enrollment for Azure AD joint devices, Azure AD registered devices, hybrid AD joint devices, and I will explain the difference between Azure AD joint devices and Azure AD registered devices and hybrid AD joint devices, which is nothing but our local Active Directory. And it required group policy to enroll local Active Directory devices like our hybrid AD joint devices to get enrolled in Intune. So we will cover all that in the coming in this series, and compliance policies and its creation. Compliance policy with conditional access policy, how we can integrate a compliance policy with the conditional access policy, and what all the benefits we get it, we will see in the series. And we will create device-based conditional access policy with Intune, create device compliance notifications, message template, and we'll onboard Defender for endpoint automatically with Intune. What are configuration profiles in Intune, Windows update with Intune, and monitoring Windows updates, app deployment, deploy custom application, company portal, deploy store apps to Android, iOS devices, and we'll see how to set up application app protection policies in Microsoft Intune. So these are the area of focus in this 2-hour crash course. Once again, I welcome you all. Let's start it. The first thing first, let's name what is Microsoft Intune. As a definition, we can say it as Microsoft Intune is a cloud-based service from Microsoft that helps organizations to manage and secure their devices, including smartphone, tablets, laptops, and desktop. We are familiar with the different other endpoint management solutions like group policy, SCCM. So we are familiar with all that. But all that platforms have certain limitations. For example, if you consider group policy, we can manage the devices, only Windows-based devices we can manage through group policy. And we have to add the device to the domain to manage the devices through group policy. But when it comes to Microsoft Intune, it's highly huge area. We have got a huge area. We can manage different platforms, not only Windows-based devices. We can manage Linux-based devices. We can manage iOS, Android, macOS, and Windows. So all these platforms you can manage through Microsoft Intune. So the area is really huge here when we compare to the other endpoint management solutions. And it's part of Microsoft 365 suite and integrated with the Microsoft products. Now I'll just introduce the Microsoft Intune portal before you. So this is the Microsoft Intune Admin Center. When you log into this Intune Admin Center, this is the home page, you get it. To log in, you'll have to type https://intune.microsoft.com and provide your credentials, your cloud ID. You can log into that. If you do not have any, you can create a trial versions. You can take a Microsoft Intune trial version and create some ID, and you can start using this. So once you have logged into this, you could see home, dashboard, all services, device, apps, and endpoint security. So devices, apps, and endpoint security. These three are the main area which Microsoft Intune covers, like devices. Under devices, all platform comes. You can enroll all platform devices, not only Windows devices. Here we have Windows, iOS, macOS, Android, Linux, all the different platform devices you can manage through Intune Admin Center. And Intune not only manage the devices, you can manage the applications. You can deploy different deploy application to different platforms, not only to Windows. You can deploy application to iOS, macOS, Android. So to all these platforms, you can deploy the applications, and you can protect those applications that you have applied, that you have deployed from the Intune. You can protect it from the Intune Admin Center. And the third thing, endpoint security. This enforces the security in your organization. It has got enforcing the security in your organizations like antivirus, firewall, and you can onboard defender for endpoint from here. And here we have uses and groups. This is actually integrated from the Entra ID. Whatever uses we have in the Azure Active Directory, nowadays it's called as Entra ID. Those users and groups, it will be displayed here, and you get the reports. So what I want to say you that these three core of Intune, you can manage the devices, you can manage the application, you can enforce the security from Intune Admin Center. Now we'll move to the first area, which is nothing but devices. So we should have the devices here first to manage all that. So for that, it should be enrolled with Intune. So we will learn how to enroll devices to Intune, how we can automatically enroll devices with Intune. Let's see that. How to enable auto enrollment in Intune and how the auto enrollment really works. To be frank with you, I have watched multiple videos in YouTube and in paid platform like Udemy to learn how the auto enrollment really works and how to enable auto enrollment in Intune. But unfortunately, all the videos give me an idea how to enable the auto enrollment in Intune. But it doesn't provide me a complete idea how the auto enrollment really works for Azure AD joint devices, Azure AD registered devices, and hybrid AD joint devices, which can be known as local Active Directory AD joint devices. So what I did, I created a lab environment and verified how the auto enrollment really works for Azure AD joint devices and Azure AD registered devices and hybrid AD joint devices. So I am sharing the same data with you. So in this video, we cover the first two, and the third one, we will cover it in the next video because we have to create a group policy and we have to sync it to Azure AD Connect and all. So it will take time. So we will cover this in the next video. Before we move to the practical session, I just want you know the difference between Azure AD joint devices and Azure AD registered devices. Azure AD join devices, like in on-premise, we locally join the devices to the domain, the local Active Directory. The same way, we joined the devices to the Azure Active Directory. Azure Active Directory join devices is nothing but it's a corporate devices, the devices given by your organization to you for the work purpose. So you log into that device, that machine is joined to the domain, and you use that device. Azure AD registered devices is nothing but those are the personal devices. You log into that machine with your local ID and you log into your Office application through your cloud account. So what do? You just register your devices to the Azure AD. You are not completely allowing to manage your devices to the corporate account, to the cloud. You are partially allowing it. So that is Azure AD registered device. And hybrid AD join devices is nothing but the local Active Directory devices, local Active Directory join devices, and it gets synced to the cloud ID through Azure AD Connect. Now let us practically check it out how to enable the auto enrollment in Intune. First thing we require is license. We require the license, the proper license. So this is the Microsoft Intune Admin Center. You can type https full colon double forward slash intune.microsoft.com. So you will that will land on this particular portal, which is Microsoft Intune Admin Center. So when you open the page, you can see in the left hand side, you can see devices, apps, and endpoint security. So mainly these are the three areas where you can manage through Intune. You can manage all the devices through Intune. You can manage your application through Intune and endpoint security. Endpoint security is nothing but your antivirus, firewall, and the security features you can enable through Intune. So now we are going to enable the auto enrollment in Intune portal. Before doing that, we should have the user should have the proper license. Check the license. You can go to the users, select any of the user. So here you can see the assigned licenses. This particular user doesn't have any license. So we'll check the other one. Here if you check, you can see assigned license. There is one license is assigned to him, which is Microsoft 365 Business Premium. It has some 49 services are enabled. So if you just enlarge it, you can see Microsoft Intune, which is on over here. This service is enabled. Microsoft Intune Plan 1 also is there for the for this particular user. This way you can check whether the user is having the proper license. So we can have Microsoft 365 Business Premium or Mobility plus E5 security license. With all these licenses, you can have Intune. So now we'll enable the auto enrollment in Intune. To do that, go to the devices, select Windows and Windows enrollment. Even if we say Windows enrollment, automatic enrollment comes under Windows session. So when you are enabling the auto enrollment, you are enabling the auto enrollment for the entire platform, for all platforms. Select auto enrollment. Normally, when you open this, MDM user scope will be none, and Microsoft Windows protection user scope will be none. You can either select some or all. Some means you can select a particular group of users, auto enroll to into. You can select a group as you can see here, and you can allocate one particular group to auto enrollment. This will be helpful if you are for the test purpose. Before allocating to the all users, you can allocate and test for a particular group and check how it works. If everything is fine, you can proceed with the all users. As it is a lab environment, I am allocating to all users and click on save. I have already enabled it, so save is not highlighted here. And Windows Information Protection user scope should be none. If you do this, the auto enrollment part from the Intune portal, it is enabled. Now we will check it from the client machines. Presently, there are 5 devices are enrolled. Now we will other 2 more devices will get it enrolled. One will be Azure AD join. Other one will be Azure AD registered devices. Now I have 2 client machines here. So one machine is the host. If we check the host name, it is Azure AD join. I have named it as Azure AD join. It is not joined yet, but I have the host name of this machine is Azure AD join, and the other machine host name it is Azure AD register. Even it is not registered yet, and presently if you go to the Intune portal, you could see only 5 devices are enrolled as of now. We will see how to join a device to Azure AD. When we join, how it get enrolled to Intune. To join a device to Azure AD, or nowadays it's called Entra ID. What you have to do, go to settings, go on account and select access work or school, and here you can click on connect and provide your cloud global admin or cloud ID. Here we have the option join this device to Microsoft Entra ID. So click on that. It is asking me for the cloud ID. Click on next. Enter the password. Click on sign in. As I have enabled the multi-factor authentication, it is asking me for the MFA. So it is giving me an pop-up saying that make sure this is your organization. If you continue, system policies might be turned on or other changes might be made to your PC. Is this the right organization? Connecting to the domain, username and password is username is provided here. User type is administrator, and you can click on join. So what happens? Your machine is joining to the Azure Active Directory Enroll ID. So this is normally done by your IT administrator before providing this corporate device to you. So let us check whether this device get enrolled or not. So it will take some time. So to make it fast, to make it immediate, we can go to info and there is an option to sync it. So click on sync. Now let us check it in the Intune portal. Before checking in the Intune portal, we will check it in the Azure Active Directory. Intune it shows 5. We will go to Windows and we'll just refresh it. Still we have only 5 devices here. I just click on devices, all devices, Azure AD join. You can see it here. It has come in the Azure Enter ID. So it should automatically detect here. So let us wait for some time. So we can do one thing. We can come here and sync it again. The sync was successful. We'll sync once more. Okay, it's taking some time to get it synced. So meanwhile, we'll check once again in the portal, in the Intune portal, whether it gets synced or not. No, still it has not yet come. Still we have only 5 devices. Let's wait. Yeah, it has come. Azure AD joined. The machine got enrolled automatically in Intune portal. Yes, as you can see, the machine got enrolled to Intune admin center, Intune portal, and you can view that device here. Azure AD joined. It got linked at this time. So this is the way how an Azure AD joined device get enrolled to Intune. Now we will check the second scenario, which is nothing but Azure AD registered devices. So you can see a device here, and I have named it as Azure AD register. I have just logged into my with my username and password. So presently this machine is not registered with Azure AD. So how it get registered and how it get enrolled to Microsoft Intune? When you open any of the client, any of the Microsoft 365 client application like Outlook or MS Office or OneDrive. So like this OneDrive, you sign in. I'm providing the cloud ID here. What happens? It is get registered to Azure AD Active Directory, Azure Active Directory, and from there it is automatically getting enrolled to Microsoft Intune. We will do that right now. I'm just giving the password here. So MFA is enabled. It's asking for the MFA, and I have enabled it. Click on OK. So here you check it out. Now what happens? Presently, this machine is getting registered to Azure Active Directory. So once the device get registered to Azure Active Directory, see, hold on while we register this device with your company and apply policy. This may take a moment. So while doing, see what exactly happening in the background, this device is getting registered to Azure Active Directory, and from there, within some 5 to 10 minutes, it again get enrolled with Microsoft Intune. It get automatically get registered to Azure Active Directory, and from there, within some 5 to 10 minutes, it get enrolled to Microsoft Intune. This is what exactly happening. So now let's see whether it get enrolled or not. So let this process get complete. I'm just enabling the backup for the OneDrive. Wait, it's okay. Okay, this is enough. So this can be done through OneDrive or Outlook or any of your Office 365 application. When you log into that, it automatically get registered to Azure Active Directory. So now we'll check whether in the Azure Active Directory whether this device is listed over there or not. Presently 8 devices are there. If you refresh it, it should be 9. Yes. So you can see Azure AD register. Now let us see in the Microsoft Intune portal whether it got displayed there or not. It was 6 devices. Now it should be 7. It's still 6. Let's wait. Let's refresh it. It may be taking some time. It will get sync. Yes. No, 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 not yet. Yeah. You can see my Azure AD register, which shows as personal device, and you can see my Azure AD register in Intune portal. If you go to the devices, now you could see 7 devices. So it's clear. Now I have explained how auto enrollment works for Azure AD join devices and Azure AD register devices, which is your personal devices. Let's check how the auto enrollment works on hybrid AD join machines. In order to automatically enroll domain join devices, we need to configure group policy to trigger the enrollment. Azure Active Directory Domain Services does not support hybrid Azure AD join and is not supported for automatic enrollment by default. There are few other things we need to configure. So the first thing we should enable automatic enrollment settings that I have already done in my previous video, but still I will show it again in this video. And the second thing, we should have a Microsoft Entra Connect. In other words, we can say Microsoft Azure AD Connect. Azure AD Connect sync must be configured to synchronize devices, not just users. It should synchronize the devices too. And the third thing, we require the group policy. So we have to set up the group policy on the domain controller with appropriate settings for Intune communication. So we will do it practically right now and we'll check it out. This is my domain controller. I have synced the local Active Directory and the usage to Azure AD with the help of Azure AD Connect. Normally in the production environment, instead of syncing all the OU to Azure AD, we normally specify the OU that need to sync with Azure AD. In our case, we can specify the OU in Intune sync to get synced to Azure AD. And I have moved the devices and the user to this particular OU. How to set up Azure AD Connect, I shall create a separate video. In this video, we focus on the group policy that to be created for auto enrollment. So to create the group policy, go to run and type gpmc.msc and click on enter. The group policy management as open under the domain level, or you can specify to the particular OU that has to be synced with the Azure AD. You have to create a group policy. I have created the group policy in the domain level. You right click on the domain, create the GPO in this domain, link it here. Name it as Intune enrollment and click OK. Right click on the created GPO, click on edit, go to the computer configuration, policies, administrative templates. Let me expand this. Go to Windows components and select MDM. Here you can see a settings. Enable automatic MDM enrollment using default Azure AD credentials. So you have to double click on the settings. By default, it will be not configured. Click on enable and here select the credential type to use. You have to select user credentials and you can just read the help that is written over here. This policy setting specifies whether to automatically enroll the device to the mobile device management service configured in Azure Active Directory. If the enrollment is successful, the device will be remotely managed by the MDM service. The device must be registered in Azure AD for enrollment to succeed. Click on Apply and click on OK. This is the group policy settings that you have to create it. Now close this and close the group policy. So we'll go there to the Intune portal, go to the devices, Windows devices. Here you can see the devices that got enrolled automatically post creating the GPU. I hope I have explained how the automatic enrollment works on hybrid AD join devices and how to create the GPU. Let's have a quick overview of what we have covered so far. We have seen the overview of Intune Admin Center. I have just introduced the Intune Admin Center before you, and I have showed how we can enable the automatic enrollment with Azure AD join devices, Azure AD registered devices, and hybrid AD join devices. What the requirement for Azure AD Connect and GPU for the hybrid AD join devices enrollment. So till the third point we have covered so far. Now we'll move on to compliance policy and its creation, how compliance policy work with conditional access policy. So we will see that now. All right, let's move on. All right, let's first understand what are compliance policies. What are compliance policies? Compliance policies in Intune allow you to define some rules that are essentially going to check certain things on person's devices to make sure that they meet certain criteria. Okay, and of course, if they do not meet certain criteria, then couple of things can happen. You can have report being generated, audit can occur, or if you are working with conditional access, you can actually have device blocked. So there is a saying, if there is no shirt, no shoe, no service. So in the same way, if your device is not compliant, you will not have access to the organization application. The access is blocked. Let's check the ways to use compliance policies. So we can either use with conditional access or without conditional access. So with conditional access, if your device do not comply, they do not get access to the organizational resources. If your device not compliant, while accessing the organization resources like OneDrive, SharePoint, Exchange, you get a message your device is non-compliant and access is blocked. So without conditional access, if your device does not comply, they do not get restricted, but reports are generated for monitoring. So the administrator can know who are our troublemaking users here, who are troublemaking devices. So without conditional access, what happens? A mail can set up to be shared to the end user. The report can be generated for monitoring purpose, but the device don't get blocked. What are the non-compliant settings? First one, PIN or password configuration, which means you have to meet certain criteria in the password. It should be alphanumeric, it should be complex password, and without the PIN or password, it's not allowed. The device can be marked as non-compliant. So that is one setting. The second one, device encryption. Device encryption is nothing but you can enable the BitLocker or any other encryption software. You can use some third-party encryption softwares. If the encryption is not enabled, you can mark the device as non-compliant. The third one, jailbroken or rooted devices. iOS we say jailbroken, and in Android we say rooted devices. This is basically somebody has taken over or gotten the admin rights over the operating system. And the downside to that, the reason why that considered as a security risk is because the device is no longer being protected by the operating system, digital signing, and all of that. So they could get malware on the devices, and they could get virus on the devices. So that is what meant by jailbroken or rooted devices. So you can set that for the compliance. And the fourth one is email profile. Email profile is something like you should use the official Outlook application to get email access. So that is what meant by email profile. And minimum OS version and maximum OS version is something like you should use minimum Windows 10 on the device. Otherwise your devices will be marked as non-compliant. And maximum also you can set it out like Windows 11 and the latest build number also you can set there. Windows health attestation is nothing but your device should be healthy, like it should not be affected by the malware or any virus. So your device should be healthy. If not, it can be marked as non-compliant. What are the outcome of the non-compliance? So first thing, it can be remediated. The device OS enforce the compliance. For example, the user is forced to set the pin or update the OS. So without that, he will not be able to proceed further. So that is what meant by remediated. And the other one, quarantine. The device operating system does not enforce compliance. For example, Android or Android enterprise devices do not force the user to encrypt the device. When the device is not compliant, the following action taken place. If the conditional access policy is applied to the user, the device is blocked, and the company portal app notify the user about any compliance problems. So that is the second outcome, which is quarantine. So this is the concept of compliance. What are the compliance policies? How it works along with conditional access. All right, let's create the compliance policy. This is the client machine, that is Azure AD join. To verify whether compliance policy work properly or not, we will disable the firewall in this client machine. And in the compliance policy, we will enforce firewall should be turned on to mark the device as compliant. If not, non-compliant. We will disable the firewall in this client machine. For that, go to the run and type firewall.cpl. See, it's already turned off. By default, it will be turned on. Now I have turned it off. You can go here and turn off it from your side. All right, let's create the compliance policy now. For that, let me minimize it. To create the compliance policy, the devices, okay, select Windows, compliance policies. Here you can see I have already created one compliance policy. What I do, I will remove that first. I'm deleting this. Now we will create a fresh compliance policy. Do that, click on create policy, select the platform. Platform is Windows 10 and later. Profile type Windows 10 or 11 compliance policy. Create it. Name, give a name to the compliance policy. I'm naming it as Windows compliance. Windows compliance. Give a description to that. Platform is Windows 10 and later. This is taken automatically, and click on next. So here we have the different options of compliance policy. The first one, custom compliance. When we enable compliance policy, device must be compliant according to the custom rule defined in a JSON file based on custom data returned from the discovery PowerShell script. You can create a script according to your organization needs, and you can enable that here. You can select that script and you can customize the compliance policy here. But in our case, we are not configuring that. And device health. If you require BitLocker to be enabled on all devices, you can click on require. Secure boot, if you want to enable, you can click on require. Code integrity, again, if it is required, according to your requirement, you can enable it. In our case, we are not configuring any of the BitLocker or any other settings here. Now we move to device properties. Device properties, we can select the minimum OS version, maximum OS version, and even it is for the mobile devices, you can select it here. So this is what meant by device properties. System security, the password, simple password type, maximum minute inactivity before password is required. All that you can set it here for the mobile devices. And encryption, here it comes, if you have any third-party encryption, you can enable it here. And now comes the device security. So in this is a setting we are going to enable for the compliance policy in our case. So I am just allowing require. Trusted platform module TPM, I'm not configured. Antivirus, if it required, you can mention it as require. And as it is a lab environment, I am not providing any of this. To show you how the compliance policy works, we will only use this firewall configuration. So we have mentioned it required, firewall is required for the compliance to mark the device as compliant. In our case, we mention only two things. One, the minimum OS, we keep it as 10, and the maximum Windows OS, we keep it as 11. and we say firewall should be turned on. Let's click on next. What action to be taken for the non-compliance? For action is something like we have mark the device as non-compliant immediately. If you mention 0, it is immediately, and send a mail to the end user that you can, that also you can keep it as 0. And message template, we have to go here and select the template. By default, there will not be any template here. You will have to create the template in the notification, and only then you will be able to select the templates from here. So I have selected the templates. System detect it as non-compliant, mark device as non-compliant. Then a mail will be sent to the end user saying that your device is non-compliant. Next, assignment, in our case, I am mentioning for all users and all devices. As it's a test environment, it's okay to keep all users and all devices. In a production environment, assign to a particular group and test it first, then you allocate to the other users. If you have to exclude any group, you can add it here. In our case, there is no exclusion. Click on next, review, and create it. So the policy has been created now. It will take some time to get synced to the client machine. If you go to the devices, Windows, this is the machine Azure AD join. It shows as non-compliant. It's not taken from the present compliance policy. This is marked as non-compliant by my previous policy. So what you have to do, you have to go to Azure AD join and click on sync, and even you can come to the client machine. I'm going to sync it from the client side too. For that, go to settings, click on accounts, click on access worker school, click on info, click on sync. So this is synced right now, just now. So let's check in the device when it is last synced. It is still shows as 6:35, which means it is not synced yet. I will just refresh again. It's not yet synced yet. Now it got synced and it is marked as non-compliant. You could see the time here, it is 7:02, and here you can see it is 19, means 7 o'clock. So at 7 o'clock it got synced and it is marked as non-compliant. This is the way how to create the compliance policy and apply to the client machine. How compliance policy work along with conditional access policy. So first we should understand the concept of conditional access policy. All right, what is conditional access policy? So what is conditional access policy? The idea of conditional access is setting a bunch of conditions in a place that monitor where, when, and how somebody is accessing information in your environment or in your organization. There are mainly three criteria: signal, decision, and enforcement. Signal help to make a decision on what to do if signals are detected. Signals can be like users and group, which means who is accessing, he is part of which group, and it can be IP location, from where he is accessing. Is he accessing from a trusted location or specific application? Is this application is an approved application or not? And device type. So all these can be the signals. So the conditional access collect all these signals, and then the decision has to be made. And then based on that decision, some type of enforcement can be like block the access or grant the access. So let's take a deeper look at the logic of all this. Why this is important? Well, we call this the dilemma of the modern administration. Okay, modern administration is going to involve the concept that users want to be able to use any apps they want at any time of the day, anywhere on the planet. And that's really scary when we look at the point of security, right? We love the idea that users can use any application from anywhere in the planet at any time of the day. It's really a good idea, but this causes a lot of problems because it does not allow us to easily protect our data. So the conditional access policy is one of the tools that going to help us here. It collects the signals. Signals, as I said, who, when, where, and how. Who means users and groups. When means from which location, from which IP, which device, at what time, how. So all these signals, by collecting all these signals, it takes a decision. Decision is something like grant the access or block the access. And let's check out the signals and outcome. Signals are like usage or group membership. It can be IP location information, device, Microsoft Cloud App Security, application, real-time and calculator risk detection. So by collecting all these signals, it take a decision like block access or grant access. Grant access, again, we have to get the grant access. Again, it required a multi-factor authentication. It can enforce. Only I can grant access if you meet the multi-factor authentication or compliant device. The device should be compliant if I have to grant access to you. Or it should be hybrid Azure AD joint device or require approved app. If it's an approved app, obviously I can grant access. If it's a compliant device, yeah, I can grant access. So these are the decision which conditional access policy takes. So this is the concept of conditional access policy, and it works along with compliance policy. So with that, when it works along with compliance policy, what happens? You can block a device. When compliance policy works alone, it cannot block the device. It can monitor. It can be used only for the monitoring and reporting purpose. We can monitor, an administrator can monitor the compliance policy, but it cannot block the device. If you want to block the device, then it should work along with conditional access policy. All right, how to create conditional access policy and how it work along with compliance policy. We will create a conditional access where we mention the device access should be granted only if the device marked as compliant. All right, so let's do it practically. So we have in the Intune admin center, and if you click to get the conditional access policy, you have to click on devices, and here you can see compliance policy and conditional access policy. So we have already created a compliance policy here. If you click on it, we can view that. So this is the compliance policy. I have already created it. Click on that. I'll just show you what settings we have made it here to mark the device as compliant. Here you can see we have 3 conditions to mark the device as compliant. The first one, minimum OS version should be Windows 10. Maximum OS version should be 11, and firewall is required. If the device firewall is off, then the device will be marked as non-compliant. So this is the policy we have created in our test environment. Now we will create the conditional access policy. To create the conditional access policy, you can click on conditional access here. You can access the conditional access from the Microsoft Entra ID. For that, go to your Microsoft Entra Azure AD and click on security. Here you can find the conditional access policy. The same conditional access policy what you can see in the Intune admin center, the same is reflected here. So what I mean to say, it is integrated each other. It is linked each other. So if you create a policy here, that will be reflected on the Azure AD or Entra ID in the same way, vice versa. Even if you create it in the Azure AD or in Entra AD, the same will be reflected on the Intune admin center. All right. So let's create a conditional access policy. To do that, go to policies and create new policy. So before doing that, we'll check we have any other policy or not. Go to conditional access, go to policies. Yeah, we have already created one policy here. So what I will do, I will delete these ones. Delete it. Now we'll create a fresh policy. To do that, click on new policy, and it's asking me to name the conditional access policy. So we'll name it as compliance restriction. Compliance restriction. Okay. In my previous video, I have explained what is conditional access policy. The theoretical area I have covered it in my previous video. So I will just brief it what conditional access policy. Conditional access policy will collect some signals from the devices and from the users. Signals are something like who, when, where, and how. who is accessing the device, which group he is member of, which device, which platform he is logging in, which location he is logging in, and at what time he is logging into the device. And it collect all those signals, and according to that it take decisions. Decision is something like grant access or block access. These are the signals actually. It is collecting the signals. So with this condition, it will collect the signals and it takes a decision whether to grant access or to block the access. So I have given a name to the conditional access policy here, which is compliance restriction. Now it goes to the assignment. It can be assigned to all users and selected users and group. See here you can allocate to a particular group user or a group. So in our case, as it's a lab environment, I am allocating to all users. So when we are allocating to all users, what you have to make sure it is applicable to the ID you have logged in. You have to be very careful when you are allocating the conditional access policy here. Lab environment, I don't care. Uh, so I am giving to all users. But you have to be very careful while you apply in the production environment. And if you have to exclude someone, you can exclude it here. Okay. Now we move to target resources. Here we have all cloud apps. We have cloud apps, user actions, and authentication context. Cloud apps is something like all the cloud apps you can provide the access, or you can select some particular apps here. In our case, we are selecting all cloud apps. We are not excluding anything here. And we move on conditions. So these are some signals: device platform, location, client apps, filter for devices. Device platform, if you check that, have if you enable it, you can mention any devices, or you can specify the platform like Windows, Mac OS, Linux, Windows Phone. So accordingly, so here I am giving any devices. Location again, if you enable it, you can give any location or all trusted location. So Microsoft has got some trusted location data with by default. So if you provide all trusted location, it takes that from their database. And select a location, you can mention or select the location here. So I'm selecting all trusted locations. So what exactly happening through this condition? Some machine learning is happening in behind. It will calculate whether you are from the proper location, you are accessing to the proper device, proper IP range. Are you the authenticated user to access to this device? So all this machine learning is happening. All these signals it is collecting and it is taking some decision on according to that signals. Okay. All right. So we'll move client apps again. Yes, if you want, you can mention the client apps, browser apps, mobile apps, and desktop clients, Exchange, Active Sync clients, other. So you can allocate it accordingly. So and filter for devices, you can filter it like exclude filter device from the policy. You can add some expression something like manufacturer contains. You can mention as HP, and if you have something like model number contains or start with, so same thing you can exclude. If you want to filter some devices, you can do it here. So it's not required in our case, discarding it. And here comes the access control, grant access. Here we have, this is something where we take the decision. We take the decision like block access. So if you do not meet these criteria, it will be block access or grant access with some other criteria. We require multi-factor authentication, or you can say require device to be marked as compliant. So if you want to access to the device, require device to be marked as compliant. So this is the way how it works along with compliance policy. In the compliance policy, we have mentioned the device should be Windows 10. A minimum OS version should be Windows 10. Maximum OS version should be Windows 11, and the firewall should be enabled. So if it is meet these conditions, device will marked as compliant. If the device is marked as compliant, access will be granted from the conditional access. And it is giving me a warning here. Warning is something like don't lock yourself out. So as I told you, when you apply something, it will get affected to the user that you have logged in. So in this case, I'm excluding the current user and I am creating the conditional access policy here. Policy is being created now. Successfully created the compliance restriction, which is a conditional access policy. So the outcome is something like if the device marked as non-compliant, the access to that device should be blocked. So we do not have any device that is non-compliant. So we'll make the device as non-compliant. Do that if you disable the firewall, the device will mark as non-compliant. So we'll do that. Missed one thing while saving the conditional access policy, it was on report only, and we have to click on. We get an error message like security default must be disabled to enable conditional access policy. So to disable security defaults on conditional access policy, we have to go to Microsoft Entra Admin Center. By default, it will this page home page. You can go to properties, and here you can see manage security defaults. You have to disable it once. Only then you'll be able to save it. If you refresh it, this will be working fine. Save it. Now actually the policy has taken effect. I'm in the client mission now. So to make this device as non-compliant, what we'll do, we'll just disable the firewall. To disable the firewall, we'll go to the run and type firewall.cpl and we'll disable it. We'll turn it off and okay, click on OK. So we will now this machine should marked as non-compliant. So it has to be get synced once. To do that, go to settings, go to accounts, go to info and click on sync. Now the client machine has been synced properly. I can see it is 6:57. It is synced successfully, and you can see the time here, which is 7 o'clock. So it is just synced 3 minutes back. Now we'll do one thing. We will log into the any of the cloud apps like portal.office.com and let's see what it shows. If I type portal.office.com, now when it is trying to sign in, we are getting a error message here. Device must be comply with your organization compliance requirement. This device does not meet your organization compliance requirement. Go to your organization device management portal to see why this device is marked as non-compliant. So as this device has marked as non-compliant, it is not allowing us to access any of our organization applications. So it is blocked. So first our device has to be marked as compliant. Only then you can access the cloud apps. So I will show that conditional access once more. What all settings we have done here. Usage I have given, assignment I have given to all users and groups. And target source I have mentioned all cloud apps. Condition, only one condition we have selected, that is client apps like all browser, mobile apps, everything we have selected here. And the grant access, only required device to be marked as compliant to grant access. Required device to be marked as compliant to grant access to the cloud apps, all cloud apps. Once the device marked as non-compliant, how come the end user know that his or her device is non-compliant? Let's take a look. Presently, we are in the Intune admin center. We are going to click on the device blade. Scroll down and you could see compliance here. Click on the compliance. You could see we have already created a Windows compliance policy here. And in the policy, we have mentioned three conditions to mark the device as compliant, like minimum OS version is 10, maximum OS version should be 11, and firewall should be turned on to mark the device as compliant. So that we have already done it. Now we'll go to the notifications. You could see the blade called notification here. Click on that. Here we create the notification. Through this notification, we shall notify the end user via email that your device is marked as non-compliant. Kindly inform or meet the administrator to take appropriate actions. So let's create a notification and see the settings there. I have already created one compliance message, one email message that will be shared while device marked as non-compliant. Let that be there. We'll create a new one. To create that, you have to click on create notification and you have to name it. We'll name it like email message for non-compliance. We'll click on next. If you have to show the company logo, you can enable that. It's not required in my case. Enable footer, show the company name. Let it be enabled. Show contact information, let it be there. Okay, so these are the general settings. I'm keeping it as default. Let's move on. Here comes the notification message template. So we can add one template here. First, we have to select the language. Language we create as English United Kingdom, or you keep English United States. Subject again non-compliance. Lines message, and the message you have to type it here. Message is something like your machine is non-compliant. Kindly meet the IT administrator. IT administrator. Let's save this. Kindly meet the IT administrator. Okay, fine. We'll save the message. Okay. We'll edit that. Change. Select the default template. Set to default local. Okay, I'm saving this. So let's click on next, review and create it. Okay, so now we have got two notification email. So now we'll go to the compliance policy and we'll edit it again. Okay, clicking on the compliance policy here, we'll go to the properties and here action for non-compliance. We'll edit that again. So what action to be taken for non-compliance? So that we specify here. First thing, mark the device as non-compliant immediately. If we mention 0, that takes us immediately. And second thing, send a email to the end user, and we have selected the template. Some template we had selected the old one here, compliance message. So we had created two notification in the device compliance notification bar, and both are displayed here. One I had created in the February 21st, and the other one on today, on March 2nd. So we'll keep the old one itself, and we'll click select and review and save it. Now let's see how the message looks like for the end user. Now I just want to show you from the end user perspective how the email looks like. So let's see that. As you can see, Azure AD joined. This device is marked as non-compliant. So what the message the end user has received? Let's check that. So I am there in the machine. We'll check the host name once. Host name. We can see Azure AD join, and I have opened the mail here. So on 24th, we get a message, non-compliance message, which says your device is non-compliant. Only contact the IT administrator. If you go to the notifications, go to compliance and notification, you could see the compliance message what we had created earlier. Your device is non-compliant, kindly contact the IT administrator. So the same message is displayed here. Your device is non-compliant, kindly contact the IT administrator. So it shows the serial number, device name, and all the detail, OS version, and all the details here. So this is the way how we can create the notification and send to the end user via mail. All right. Again, a quick review on whatever we have learned so far. We discussed about the Intune Admin Center. We have seen the overview of Intune Admin Center, how to automatically enroll the devices into Intune. What is the use of group policy for the enrollment of hybrid AD joint devices? And we talk about the compliance policy. We learned it's theoretical and it's hands-on. And how compliance policy work along with conditional access policy. And we have seen how to create the device-based conditional access policy with Intune, device compliance notification message template. How will our compliance notification email looks like? So till the seventh point we have covered it. If you go to the Intune admin center, all these whatever we have covered so far comes under devices. We have not even ended, we have not even seen about this app deployment, endpoint security. These are still pending, so still we are on the devices. From the devices we have learned about the configuration, we have learned about the compliance policy, conditional access policy, and the enrollment, the about the Windows enrollment. So these areas are covered. Now there is something called configuration profiles. Here you could see something called configuration profiles. We will see what it is in this. We will see what it is now. Let's move on. Let us learn what are configuration profiles in Intune. What is configuration profile in Intune? I want to help you to understand the concept of configuration profiles in Microsoft Intune. It's important that you are going to handle an environment of different users and devices and the configurations that are going to be out there. You have to think about the requirement of your company. What is it you are trying to achieve? And then from there, know exactly what type of scenarios we can put it in place with Intune that's going to solve this problem. And I think configuration profile is going to be a huge helper when it comes to this. But first of all, what is configuration or what are configuration profiles? Configuration profile that are probably one of the most powerful thing we have in regard to controlling things in our environment. Just like when Windows NT came out back in 90s, and they came out with the concept of policies. And then when Windows 2000 came out in the year 2000, they introduced GPO, Group Policy Object. And that was, flat out probably most powerful thing we had as an administrator in Microsoft domain for controlling configuration settings on people's machines. We could enable, disable things, but of course, that was always geared towards Windows and Windows based systems. And Intune, as you are aware, it is not just a Windows based system. It works with Windows, it works with Apple, it works with Android, and they move to the Linux supporting in certain aspect of it. And we need to be able to have a solution that are going to allow us to manage the different type of settings and parameters and options that are going to be available for users within that devices and within that operating system. This is exactly what configuration profile bring to the table. All right, so the idea here is that I can create these things called configuration profile, and they can be created for different type of devices and in your operating system like iOS, iPad OS, Android, Windows, all of that. And then I can assign the configuration profile to the users and the devices that I want this to go out to. So ultimately what happens is those profile settings get deployed out to my devices, and I can monitor the devices to make sure that the profile settings and all that have gone out properly. All right, so let's talk about some of the usage examples here. As part of your mobile device management MDM solution, use these configuration profile to complete different tasks. Intune has many templates that include group of settings that are specific to a feature, such as certificate, VPN, email, and more. So some profile examples is like allow or prevent access to the Bluetooth on the devices, create a Wi-Fi or VPN profile that gives different devices access to your corporate network, manage software update including when they are installed, run Android devices as a dedicated kiosk device that can run one app or run many apps, and on iOS, iPad OS, and Mac OS devices allow users to use AirPrint printers in your organization. So all these are some of the examples of profiles. Even those who have worked as a Windows administrator, you can know in group policy we have got n number of policies there, like to set the wallpaper, restrict access to the control panel, or to install we could install softwares like Google Chrome installation is possible through group policy. Even we can restrict uh, synchronization of Google history to the Google server, and caching the passwords, caching the history. So all these we can restrict it in the Google Chrome, and there we have thousands of policies there in group policy. So when it comes to Intune, we do have all that almost all the policies that is available in group policies is the same is available in Intune, and we have more than that. And there in group policy we can access, we can control only Windows based system. But in the case of uh, but when it comes to Intune, you can access Windows based system, Mac OS, iOS, Android devices, and Linux in some point of, in some aspect you can even you can control even Linux machines. So that's what the exact difference between the group policy and Intune. Group policy has a limited area, but in the case of Intune it has got a huge area. So main options when we creating a profile. Device profile allow you to add the configuration settings and then push these settings to devices in your organization. We have some options when creating profiles like administrative templates. We could see the same administrative template in GPO in group policy. If you are familiar with how to use ADMX policies in GPO, it is very easy for you to manage in Microsoft Intune. And there is something called baseline on newer Windows devices. These baseline include pre-configured security settings. So you can enforce this baseline. You can harden the server, harden the devices for the security. And there is something called setting catalog. Setting catalog is on a newer Windows devices. Use a setting catalog to use all the available settings in one location. For example, you can see all settings that apply to BitLocker and create a policy that just focus on BitLocker. And we have something called templates. When creating the profile, we do have all these options. So when we are setting, when we are creating profile, we do have all these options like administrative template, baseline, setting catalog, and templates. Now I can just show you a configuration profile that I have created to restrict control panel access on devices. So to get the configuration profile, you have to click on devices, scroll down, you get configuration. Under manage devices, you get configuration, click on configuration. And here you can create the profile. So you could see of a profile that I have created here. And this is the profile which I have created to restrict the control panel access. So if you click on that, you could see the settings here from the administrative templates. We were discussing these administrative templates and setting catalogs, all that we were discussed in our theoretical area. So now when it comes here, so from the administrative template, what I have done, I have automatically shows that option there, prohibit access to the control panel is a setting. So we have enabled it. So now I like to show you how we can create a device configuration profile. And we can do that by starting out here in the intune.microsoft.com and get into the on devices. Scroll down, you will get the configuration profile here. Now configuration profile is sort of like what we had in our domain environment. We had GPOs, group policy objects, in our domain environment. And you know that was one of the most powerful tool we had as a administrator, and still it is available in the on-premise structure. So as you know, Microsoft is trying to now more control things in the cloud as opposed to on-premise. But one of the downside, of course, with on-premise GPOs is that they could only really manage Windows devices. But when we come to configuration profiles in Intune, it can manage all the platform like Apple, Mac OS, iOS, Android devices, Linux. In some aspect, you can even manage Linux devices. So here we have a huge area when we compare to the group policy. To create a configuration profile, we'll click on create here and click on new policy. When you click on this platform, you could see all the platforms here like Android, Android Enterprise, iOS and iPad OS, Mac OS, Windows 10 and later, Windows 8.1. So all the platform you could see over here. So we are selecting Windows 10 and later. And now I will warn you, this is yet another one of these screens that seems to change every week. So don't be surprised if things look a little different. So we have, when we click on profile type, you could find two file type here. One is setting catalog and another one is templates. So let's know the difference between the setting catalog and the templates. Setting catalog on a newer Windows devices. Use setting catalog to see all the available setting in one location. For example, you can see all the settings that apply to BitLocker and create a policy that just focus on BitLocker. So that is what setting catalog. So we'll select the setting catalog and we'll create a test profile here just to understand what setting catalog and how it looks like. It's taking very long time to load. Yeah, so we'll name something and click on next. So here if you click on that, you could see, as we mentioned here, all the available settings. See all the available setting in one location. So here you can see all the available setting in one location here. Like if you select BitLocker, all that belongs to focus on BitLocker you could see here. Now we'll just check what is templates. We'll create a new policy. We select the platform as Windows 10 and later, and here we select templates. So what is templates? uh, on Android, iOS, or iPad OS, Mac OS, and Windows devices, templates include a logical grouping of settings. So that is the difference. Include a logical grouping of settings that configure a feature or concept such as VPN, email, kiosk devices, and more. So here if you check, you can see some kind of logical grouping like administrative template, delivery optimization, device restrictions, domain join, email, kiosk, uh, some kind of logical grouping you could see here. VPN, Wi-Fi, trust certificate. So this is the difference between the templates and catalog. So now let's create a configuration profile to restrict control panel access. So I have already created one. What I do, I will remove that and we'll create it again. I'm deleting it. Now let us create a configuration profile to restrict the control panel access. To do that, click on create, click on new policy, and here we have to select the platform. We select it as Windows 10 and later. And profile type, this time we will select as setting catalog. So we have seen the difference between the setting catalog and template. Template is something like a logical grouping of settings, and when we come to setting catalog, we get all the available setting in one location. So that is the main difference between setting catalog and templates. So in our case, we select setting catalog and we click on create, and we name it as like control panel restriction. So before doing that, I just want to tell you one thing. In this video, we are just seeing an example how to create a configuration profile just by doing a control panel restriction. And in the coming videos, we will explore more options that we have that are available on the configuration profiles. Actually, we have hundreds and hundreds of policies, just like group policy settings. As a system administrator, if you have worked as a system administrator, you could see in group policy there are hundreds and hundreds of policies that we can create it. In the same way, in these configuration profiles, here we can create again the same or more than that policies and profiles we can create it here. So in this video, I'm just giving you a one example of configuration profile by creating or by restricting the control panel access. And in the coming videos, we will be creating more and exploring more options in configuration profile. So I'm giving the description as
control panel restriction again and click on next. And if you have to click on add settings and click on administrative templates, we have control panel here. When we click on control panel, we have many other options related to control panel. So that is what we discuss here, all the available setting in one location. So here we have all the available settings related to control panel in one location. So here we click on control panel and we get the settings here, and we select this one, prohibit access to the control panel and PC settings for the user. So we select that, close this. Here we have to enable this, prohibit access to the control panel and PC settings for the user. Click on next. Scope tag is not required. We'll click on next. In our case, we will allocate to all users and all devices. In a production environment, allocate to the concerned group accordingly. So don't blindly allocate to all users and group, as it is a test environment, lab environment. Here I don't care all those settings. So I click on, and if you want to exclude someone, you can exclude it here. I don't want to exclude anybody. So click on next, review and create it. Now we have created the profile. It is listed here as control panel restriction. So if you select that, it is not succeeded with anybody, with any of the devices. It will take some time. You can expect some 1 hour or 2 hour time to get synchronized and get applied to all the devices. So what I do, I will pause this video and will go to all the devices and will manually sync that, and we'll go to all devices and we'll sync from the Intune center, Intune admin center. I'll go to the Windows devices and we'll select device and we'll sync it from here for all the devices. So I'll pause it right now and we'll get back. Once our configuration profile to restrict the control panel access to the users, when it get applied, when we are trying to access the control panel, when we type for control panel and we click on that, we get a message like this: this operation has been cancelled due to the restriction in effect on this computer. Please contact your system administrator.
I want to talk about dealing with updates involving Windows. So if we are going to use a method like Intune for deploying updates, it's important to understand the various options that are going to be available, at least in regards to Windows now. iOS, Android, and macOS, and all that a different ball game, and it is done differently. But Windows Update is probably the most complicated of all of it, because just because of its flexibility that Microsoft gives us. So the first thing to be aware of that when it comes to Windows operating system is your client operating system. When we talk about Windows update settings here or Windows updates, we talk about the client operating system updates. They refer to the sometimes as Windows as a service. They also refer to it as the Windows servicing model, meaning that operating system is released and then Microsoft is giving to provide a servicing to it. So Windows servicing model or Windows update, we can mainly classify into two models like feature update and quality updates. Feature updates are released usually a couple of times a year and they are very large update. So the thing you want to remember that about the feature update is that they are very large. It's essentially like a whole Windows operating system that's being deployed out. And when you deploy feature updates, it's essentially like doing as in place upgrade from older version of operating system to the newer versions of operating system. All right, and it's usually given a code that's like a 2 digit for year, and the other two it will be either H1 or H2. For example, H1 means first half of the year, and H2 shows the second half of the year. So generally, two updates a year. So if you check it in my PC, you go and just type WinRAR and check the WinRAR and check the Windows update in my operating system in my laptop. If you check it in my laptop, you could see here
23H2. Here 23 stands for the year, which means this operating system version has released in the year 2023, and H2 shows it is in the second half. If it is H1, that means the first half, first quarter or first half of the year, and H2 shows the second half of the year. So which means this particular version of Windows has released in 2023, the second half of the year. As generally, feature updates are twice in a year, 2 updates a year. Okay, that's it. So let's move on. So when you talk about quality updates are monthly update that happen on patch. Normally it is on Tuesday on every month, normally on second Tuesday on each month. There can be a little hot fixes and patches and things like that. So that's about quality update and feature updates. So if you check it in the Microsoft Intune portal, so now let's see how it looks like in the Intune Admin Center, where we can find these Windows updates in Intune Admin Center. To see that, to go to intune.microsoft.com, click on devices, scroll down. Here you could see Windows 10 and later updates. Click on that. Here you can see the feature updates and quality updates. Now we have explained the difference between feature updates. Feature updates is nothing but say larger update where it takes some from older. It can be something like older versions of Windows operating system to a newer versions of Windows operating system, and quality updates are something like patches update, like hot fixes and patches. Then and it released every Tuesday on each month. So and feature updates generally twice a year, and quality updates it happens on monthly basis. So this is the location where we can find these Windows updates, and in the coming video we will be creating these feature updates and quality updates, and we'll be updating our machines, so that we will check it in the next video. So let's go on in our theoretical area. So let's move on. Now we have update channels. Mainly there are 3 types of update channels, like Windows Insider, general availability, and long-term servicing channel. Windows Insider is nothing but receive features updates months before they go public. So it's essentially for the IT people to test it. Like before it get released to the public, it goes to the IT people for the testing purpose, and it's kind of and turned on, has to be turned on Windows settings, mostly to be used for test or lab and pilot computers. And the second channel is called general availability. This is mostly used by the majority of your production computers. So see features update when they go live and a few months later. So these are the general update which we get it to our client machines. And the third one is nothing but long-term servicing channel. It's formally known as LTSB, long-term servicing branch. This is normally used for the critical workstations that feature updates could cause problems for. For example, if some medical equipments or medical device machines, there we use this long-term servicing channel. Some critical medical equipments, where if the latest Windows patches may cause some issues to that device. So such critical workstations or machines, we use this long-term servicing channel. So what you should have, you must install Windows LTSC version in order to have this option. Now on the top of updates channels, we also have what are called update ring. These are just like time frames. You can group your machines together in these rings as time frame. So for example, I might have a general availability channel, and then I might link a group of machines to what's called preview ring, which means that preview ring get the updates as soon as it goes live to the public. So even then, even though it is called a preview ring, this would be the group of machines that get the updates immediately. So like this would be like our IT people. So uh, here what happens in, go to the previous slide. Yeah, here it's something like what the Windows Insider does in updates channel. In the preview ring, it's not a testing area, but still whenever the latest updates comes in picture and it goes to live to the public, in our infrastructure, it first get to the
previewing people, previewing machines, who are member of these previewing machines, like our IT people. So they get the updates first to their machines, and they just monitor it, any issues to their machines or not. If everything is fine, they will apply to the broad. They will push to the broad machines. And second ring is something like limited. This will be like special updates, like something like some critical machines or some limited which need some special care for special updates. And broad rings is nothing but a lot of it's something like we update after the all these checkings, after all these preview, we apply to the broad machines. A lot of admins will do these, where when a future goes live, it might be for months or it might be a year, broad devices get the updates, because they want to make sure everything is stable before they let them deploy it. So that's what broad rings. We group our machines according to the time frame when the machines should get the updates. According to the time frame, we segregate the machines, or we group the machines like preview, limited, and broad. Now comes at last, we discuss about delivery optimization. This is a peer-to-peer option that allow Windows computers to download updates and share them with the neighboring computers, either on the same network or even on the internet. So this is an overall picture about Windows update settings through Microsoft Intune. Now I want to show you how we can manage our update settings for Windows using Intune. So here we are in the intune.microsoft.com, click on devices and scroll down and click on Windows. Scroll down, we have update rings for Windows 10 and later, feature updates for Windows 10 and later, quality updates for Windows 10 and later, and some driver updates for Windows 10 and later. So when we check our client machines or our laptops, normally Windows update, they are just coming from internet. They are coming from Microsoft, from internet. So everything be managed just by the default automatic settings in Windows. But what I want to do is I want to control things through Microsoft Intune. Now, one thing that it is recommended that you do when you are going to work with update, you create group that are specific to be the update that you want. All right. So you might have three different update rings that you want, that are preview update ring, limited update ring, and broad update ring. And you want to base these group on what the schedule is, what the settings and schedule is going to be. So I go over the groups and let's create a new group here. So I'm clicking on new group. It's a security group and we name it as preview group, preview ring group. If you want to give any description, you can provide it here, and you can add the members to this group. I'm adding one member to this group and select it. So two members I have added to this group, and I'm creating a group here in the name of preview ring group. Now we create another group in the name of limited update group, limited update group, limited update ring. And if you want to provide any group description, you can provide it here and add the members to this group. I'm selecting two members to this group and I'm creating a new group here, the name of limited update ring. Now we'll create one more group in the name of, we'll name it as broad update ring, and we assign members to this, and I'm updating to locating to two particular uses here and create it. Now we are going to update rings for Windows 10 and later, and this is where we could create our actual update rings that would associate with these groups, right? So we will click on the create profile. From there we'll call the preview ring. We name it preview ring, and click on next. And then at this point we answer a few settings that we want. For example, do we want to allow product update? Yes. So like something like allow, does we required Windows drivers, we allow it. Quality update deferral period, we make it 0 because it's a preview ring, so we required these quality updates immediately. So we do the same thing with the feature updates. Deferral period, we keep it as 0. And they are asking us to upgrade Windows 10 devices to latest
Windows 11 release, we can provide either yes or no. So let it be no here. Pre-release build as enable, or you can mention is not configured. Now we move to the user experience, how it should behave in the user in the client machines. So automatic update behavior, auto install at maintenance time. So the active hours, we can mention it at 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. For the previewing, we mention it as 8 p.m. to 5 p.m., 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Or for other machines, we can make the changes accordingly. And option to pause Windows update, we can enable it. And option to check Windows updates, we can enable it. It's again depends upon your requirement. So you can set the deadline for future update. You can set it here like 30 days. Deadline for quality updates, you can set it as 30 days. And grace period, you can mention it at 7. And auto reboot before deadline, you can enable it according to the your wish. And you can click on next. Now we assign this to the particular group. We have already created a group. Now we are going to assign this to the preview group. So I select for the preview. So we have preview ring group. So I allocate this particular profile to that preview ring group. Click on next and create it. Now we have already created a preview ring file. In the same way, we have to create two other file here, one for the limited ring and another for the broad ring. So for I'm creating another profile for the limited ring, naming it as limited ring, and giving the same name as a description here, and click on next. So this is specifically for some special machines. So we can have the Microsoft product update, but not Windows drivers. So I'm blocking the Windows drivers here. Quality update deferral period, it can be not immediately. Let it be after 5 days. Feature update deferral period, again I'm giving as 5 days. Upgrade Windows 10 and latest version, let it be no. Pre-release build, it is not required here. And active hours, it may be for the special group, they may be working in a different time zone. We may select it as something like 1 p.m. to um, 11 p.m. or something like according to our organization requirement and needs. And option to pause the Windows update, we can either enable or disable it. The same way, check for the update, we can either enable or disable it. If required, you can give some deadline settings. Presently, I'm not configuring anything, and let's click on next. This profile is allocated to our limited update ring. So I'm searching for the limited update ring, and we select it and assign to a particular group. We click on next, review, and create it. So the second profile has been created. Now we'll move and create the third profile, and this time we name it as broad ring, and we copy the same and paste it here. And it's not compulsory that you should name it like broad ring or limited ring or view ring. You can name it according to your requirement and needs and your understanding. So you can name it as you wish. Click on next. And here again, Microsoft updates, I'm allowing it. Windows drivers, allow. Quality updates, deferral period, I'm giving it as 30 days. And here again, I'm giving it as 30 days. It's not configured. Enable pre-release build, I am not configuring it. Active hours, you can mention it accordingly. Pause Windows, option to pause, you can enable or disable according to your needs. And these settings, you can check it out according to your needs and fix it and set it accordingly. I'm leaving it just my intention to just show you what all options we have on all the profiles. That's it. I'm clicking on next and allocating to the broad group. Select, click on next and create it. So presently we have three profiles, one for the preview ring, another for the limiter ring, and for the broad ring. And now we will start creating the feature updates and quality updates. Now we will create a feature update for Windows 10 and later. So now keep in mind that the machine that are linked to this feature update for Windows 10 and later will be affected by the ring that is associated as well. So even if you know even update is available, that machine will have to pay attention to the ring. Whatever the ring says, then it makes it available. So let's create a profile and I name it as production update for Windows Windows 11, and I provide the same description here, and we can provide the rollout option here and click on next. So you can allocate to particular group. So here if you allocate this to view ring, view a group, then what happens, immediately they get the features. So if you are allocating to the broad devices group, what happens, it takes whatever settings we have given in the ring settings, in rings general setting, that will take effect here. If it is given 30 days, update should be taken after 30 days, then the update will be, feature update will be taken only after 30 days. To the group, what all general settings we have provided in the rings, that will take an effect. So the same thing here for the quality updates for Windows 10 and later, you can create a profile and allocate to a ring. What all rings are associated to that groups, that will get applied, and the time frame, everything will be taken from that ring. So that's all about feature updates and quality updates.
Once we apply the Windows updates from Intune, it could take 24 hours before you are going to really start seeing a bunch of data. And also, you have to wait on some updates to go through from Intune. Now let's see where we can find the reports and monitor Windows Update. For that, you will have to type intune.microsoft.com in any of the browser and log into that. Now we are in the Intune portal now, and click on reports. And I'm going to click on the report blade here. And then if you scroll down, you could see the Windows updates. Click on that. In the summary page, you could see some summary of the updates that has been already been applied to our devices. And I click on reports and Windows feature update report. Here, if you check it out, you could see some warning notification. It says that you have to turn on Windows diagnostic data for your tenant. So we have not turned on this Windows diagnostic data for our tenant. So we will not get the proper reports. Let us turn it on first. Here we have something called Windows Data. Some Intune features, including Windows Update Report, require sharing Windows diagnostic data with Intune. We have to enable feature that require Windows diagnostic data in the processor configuration. So we have to turn it on. So I do that. And here comes Windows license verification. If you want to use these features, confirm your tenant has one of the following license. We should have either Windows 10 or later Enterprise, E3 or E5, or Microsoft 365, F3, E3 or E5. And they have given some other licensing option here, which is Windows 10 or later Education A3 or A5, or Microsoft 365 A3 or A5. And the third option we have here, Windows Virtual Desktop Access E3 or E5. So in your environment, if you are having Microsoft 365 E3 or E5 license, you do have this Windows 10 or later Enterprise. So don't worry about that. So you can directly come here and confirm it. I confirm that my tenant owns one of these licenses. You can turn it on and save this. So if you are not sure what license you have, what you can do, you can navigate to the Microsoft 365 Admin Center
And verify from the Microsoft 365 Admin Center.
All right. Personally, I'm going to save this data. Once if we enable the reports, this is where we could get our data. You can see here if any quality or any production updates have gone out. In my case, I just have enabled the Windows diagnostic data just now. Hence, it takes time to get it reflected here. And if you go over here, reports, we can click on which of these reports we want to look at. We have something called Windows Feature Update Report, Expedited Update Report, Windows Feature Update Device Readiness Report, Windows Feature Update Compatibility Risk Report, Windows Driver Update Report. So we do have all these reports available in our report blade. Now let's click on Windows Feature Update Report. In my case, there is no data to see as of now because just now we have enabled the Windows diagnostic enable the Windows diagnostic data. So it takes time to get reflected here.
But you could see that if you did some deploy feature updates, and it could provide you with some information like the devices, user principal name of the user, Intune device ID, Azure AD. So all this Azure AD device ID. So all those details, information as provided here. It would provide you with the data right here. You could be able to look at. So coming back over here, we have also got Windows expedited update report. Click on that. So the same kind of thing. We expedited any updates, you will be able to see that information here. And then we have got Windows Update Device Readiness Report. All right. So if we click on that, this is going to give us some information on how ready certain devices are for certain updates. And then you have also got something called compatibility report. If you go back, you could see some compatibility report here, which is called Windows Feature Update Compatibility Risk Report. So compatibility report would provide you with compatibility information. So this is especially handy if you are going to be deploying some application and things like that, or if you are going to go through an upgrade of newer operating system. It's going to tell you how ready this device is going to be for that. So that's what Windows Features Update Compatibility Risk Report provides to us. So this is an overall of Windows Update reports. So as of now, we have all these reports to monitor our Windows update, and you can expect to see that Microsoft is going to add more information regarding these reports in the future. All right, let's do it practically. First thing, we should have the license for Microsoft Defender for Endpoint. If you have purchased Microsoft 365 E5 license, then Microsoft Defender for Endpoint comes along with it. As I am having Microsoft 365 Business Premium, I have to purchase Microsoft Defender for Endpoint separately. So we first thing the license, and we do have the license now. Now we will check how to onboard the Defender for Endpoint. To do that, we have to log into the portal, Microsoft Defender for Endpoint portal. We can log into the Defender portal either from Microsoft 365 Admin Center, scroll down and click on Security. It leads to the Defender portal. Or you can directly log in by typing https://security.microsoft.com. Once you are landed on the Defender portal, scroll down and click on Settings. So what do you do through the settings? We actually connect to Microsoft Intune to enable sharing of devices information and enhanced policy enforcement. So I'll show you one thing. Before we connect Microsoft Defender portal with Microsoft Intune, if you check it in the Intune portal, go to Endpoint Security and Microsoft Defender for Endpoint Setup. You could see the connection status are unavailable. Connection status should be available to get to onboard Microsoft Defender for Endpoint automatically. So let us enable that option from the Defender portal. As I said, we click on Settings and click on Endpoints, click on Advanced Features, scroll down, and here you could see Microsoft Intune connection. Connects to Microsoft Intune to enable sharing of device information and enhance policy enforcement. So turn it on. When you turn it on, authenticated telemetry also turned on automatically. So, and when you say click on Save Preference, now it is connected to the Microsoft Intune. And we can enable the automatic onboarding through Intune now. We'll go to the Intune Admin Center, click on Endpoint Security, scroll down and click on Microsoft Defender for Endpoint. Now if you check here, you could see the connection status is enabled and you could see the last synchronized time over here. And we have some other common settings here. You can check it and switch it on accordingly. This is the second step. Actually, we have completed the second step. First step, we should have the license. And the second step, enabling the connectivity between Defender portal and Microsoft Intune Admin Center. So first and second step is completed now. Now we move to the third step, which is endpoint detection and response. Again, go to the endpoint security, click on endpoint detection and response. In my case, system itself automatically created a default endpoint detection and response policy for all devices. In case if it is not created automatically in your environment, what you can do, you can click on create policy and create a policy for yourself. So how to create a policy, we will check now. Click on create policy and select the platform here, select the profile, endpoint detection and response, and create it. Now you have to name it. You can name it like endpoint onboarding EDR. Copy the same and paste it in the description, or you can give a detailed description here. Click on next, and here you could see Microsoft Defender for Endpoint client configuration. We have to select auto from connector. See, auto from connector option will be available only if Microsoft Intune connection is on here. If it is off, you will not get this auto from connector option. Only onboard and offboard option will be available here. So in our case, as we have enabled the Microsoft Intune connection here, we have received the auto from connector option here, and we are selecting that, and it is automatically providing some password or something here. And sample sharing and telemetry reporting frequency, it is not required, not configured. You can keep it as non-configured because it is deprecated. And click on next, and assign to all users and all devices according to your requirement. You can allocate the particular group and create it. But in my case, system itself have created one, and I have removed the assignment from my side, and I have created one from my end. So this way, once if you done this and it get affected to the all users, system itself, see, Intune Admin Center will onboard Microsoft Defender for Endpoint to all the devices. So such an easy process. We do not have to do anything. System itself will do 95% of the task. Now let's see what are the other methods apart from automatic onboarding of Microsoft Defender for Endpoint. We have already seen how to automatically onboard Microsoft Defender for Endpoint. Now we'll see what are the other deployment methods. To check that, again we come to the Microsoft Defender portal, scroll down, and we get settings here. From settings we select endpoints, and we scroll down, we find device management, onboarding. Click on that. Here we have the options for the onboard a device. If you click on the deployment method, you could see different deployment methods here, like local script, which is we have to conduct manually. We have to download the script and we have to run that script in each devices individually. Again, a big task for us. And the second one, through group policy. From group policy, you can push the script to all devices. Then through MECM. In olden days, we were saying SCCM. Now it is moved. It is says as Microsoft Endpoint Configuration Manager, MECM. MECM, you can again push the script to all the devices. So we will see the first method, local script. To do that, we have to download the onboarding package. So you could see the onboarding package, which is a zip file, and here it guide you how to do that. So you download the package and save it in zip file, extract the content, go to the command prompt as a administrator, and type the location and run the script. So in this way, to each device you will have to run this script for onboarding Microsoft Defender for Endpoint. So easiest method we have already seen, the automatic onboarding. If you do not have the option to onboard it through Intune, then you will have to do it manually on all the machines. So the next option is through group policy. Group policy, again you can download this package and you can push this script through group policy and MECM. So I believe I have showed all the method how to onboard Microsoft Defender for Endpoint to the devices. So now we have onboarded the devices. So how we can come to know whether these devices are onboarded or not, and how we can manage those devices from the Defender portal. To do that, again we come to the same blade here. If you scroll down, you could see the devices here. Click on the devices. It will list all the devices that has been onboarded. So in our case, you could see 3 devices as onboarded under devices. And if you click on the device, you could see the event logs related to particular device, where domain joined, which OS version it has, what is the SAM name, and the device ID, and you will get all the details. So and here also incident, if any incidents or alert in that particular machine, it will display here. If any security recommendation, that will list here.
It's a quick review on whatever we have learned so far, whatever we have covered so far. We have reached till the 11th point, onboard defender for endpoint automatically via Intune. So if you go to the portal, we have covered almost everything related to devices. We learned conditional access, compliance policies, configuration profiles, Windows 10 and later updates, and how to monitor devices to Intune. And from the endpoint security, we learned how to onboard Defender for endpoint to the Microsoft Defender for endpoint to the devices. Now we move on to applications, how to deploy the application from the Intune portal. All right, let's move on.
Deploying apps with the help of Intune. All right. So here we are on the Intune admin center, and we are going to click on apps blade. From there, we can actually click on all apps. Here we can see some of the applications that I have already deployed. Some applications on Android, some on our Google Play Store, and some related to iOS store apps and Windows apps. So all that stuff you can see here. I have already deployed some of the application using Intune. All right, let's click on the add button now, and then we can select what kind of apps that you would like to deploy. So here are some various options that we have got. You will notice we have what are called store apps. So these are applications that would be involving whatever stores on that platform. And as you can imagine, we have Android store apps, we have iOS store app, and Microsoft has what they have called legacy store, and then the newer versions of store app. And essentially, we can choose based on that which of these we want to go with. And from these, we will have certain applications that are available based on that store, including Google Play Store. You have Microsoft 365 app. This is going to include basically the Office applications like Word, Excel, PowerPoint, Teams, and all that MS 365 stuff. So, and you can see that's available for Windows 10 and later, as well as Mac OS. These are desktop-based applications. There is Edge web browser version 77 and later. So the newer version of Edge, so web-based applications. And then we have Microsoft Defender for endpoint, and you could say it is applicable for Mac OS. So you will see this is the way you would deploy Microsoft Defender for endpoint to Mac OS. And then we have web application. This can be for iOS, iPadOS, web. You have what's called web or Windows web link if you want. These are just links essentially that can link application that's hosted. And there is also another option, sort of older way of doing, that's called web link, and does not have quite as many available options as these. We have something called built-in apps. It's something like you have some apps get removed of your device, and you need to re-add the built-in apps. That's what I mean by built-in apps here. And you have a line of business app. So that is a custom application that your company would build for its own use. Anytime you hear line of business, that's an application that's built specially for your company, and you are wanting to deploy it. Maybe you are not wanting to deploy it like through a store or something, because people are not going to purchase it. This would be just for your employees for this line of business. Then we have something called Windows app, Windows 32. That's our desktop based application. This would include like exe files and all that. And even though it says 32-bit, it's for 64-bit as well. Now you have got some Mac OS apps. That's DMG file if you are familiar with those. And then also you can do Android enterprise system apps. So now these are just a lot of stuff in Intune where you select what you want. Now let's deploy a Windows 365 app for Windows 10 and later and see how it works for the client machine. So I just click on Microsoft 365 app and select Windows 10 and later and click on select here. Automatically it is taken some name like Microsoft 365 apps for Windows 10 and later, and description also it is provided from the system itself, from the Intune itself. Publisher, it is Microsoft, category productivity. Okay, it's a productivity software. And information URL, all this stuff it is filled from the Intune center itself. Now we click on next, and here we have a series of choices for us to select it. So select Office app. We have selected some 8 apps here. So if we required access, if you do not require access, you can uncheck here. And Excel, it's required for me. OneNote, I am just unchecking it. Outlook, PowerPoint, Publisher, I am unchecking it. Sky for Business is not required. Teams and Word, yes, I do require all that. So I have selected 5 of the Office applications. And we have two options here, whether to select 32-bit or 64-bit. Nowadays all the operating systems and application we select as 64-bit, so I keep it as 64-bit. And default file format, I select Office Open Document format. And update channel, so if you are not familiar with what exactly it is, we have an I button here, just click on that. Define how often app is updated with a new feature. So I just select a current channel or monthly, semi-annual enterprise channel, semi-annual enterprise channel preview. So all these we have like update channel, so I select as current channel preview. And we have some more settings here. We can check it and just click on next. Here assignment comes, you can select either to a particular group or you can allocate to all users and all devices. This should be allocated to a particular group, not to all users and all devices. It's a good practice to keep allocate to a particular group. So here we have an option to uninstall. Select group of which you want to uninstall the app. App with this agreement are uninstalled from managed devices in the selected group if Intune has previously installed application onto the device via available for enrolled devices or required assignment on the same deployment. So you can allocate a particular group here, click on next and review and create it. So if you check in my case, I have already applied it. I have created this Microsoft 365 apps for Windows 10 and later, you can see here. So I click on that. Here you could see this is updated to almost device status. You could see installed on 4 devices. And if you go to the properties, you could see what all options that I have selected. In my case, I have selected Access, Excel, OneNote, Outlook, PowerPoint, Publisher, Teams, and Word. So all the Windows 365 apps, almost all the apps I have selected here, and I have applied to my all devices, and it got applied on it got installed on 4 devices. Click on device installation status. You could see which are the machines that got applied. It got applied to my machine named Azure AD join and some other machine named desktop-oensme1 and something called on-premise client 4i and test01. So all these machines, these are Microsoft 365 app got installed. Now let's check in the Azure AD join machine. So this is that particular machine. What I do, I just go to the command prompt and type host name, and you could see the name of the machine is Azure AD joined. Now we'll go here and we'll search for the Microsoft 365 app. We'll type Excel. Now you could see that Excel app is installed on this machine. So my even weight or all that stuff which is listed here, like Access, Excel, OneNote, Outlook, PowerPoint, Publisher, Teams, and Wait. All that application is installed on this machine.
We are diving into Microsoft Intune and especially how to deploy custom applications you have developed for your company. As an administrator, you might have a specific in-house applications that need to distribute to a designated user group. So we will walk you through the entire process step by step. Here I have a custom application in .msi format that we will deploy using Intune. Let's get started. Log into intune.microsoft.com to the endpoint admin center. Navigate to Apps Blade in the left hand pane. Click on that. Click on All Apps. This will display all currently deployed application for different platforms. In my case, you could see some application for Google from the Google Play Store, some are for the Android App Store, some are for the iOS Store apps and Windows apps. So all these we could see here. Now to deploy a custom app, we have to click on Add button here. Select a app type. In our case, since it is a custom application for your organization, choose line of business. So you could see line of business app here under other, under category of other, you could see line of business app. Click on that. So as a quick refresher, line of business apps are applications developed internally or acquired from a third party vendor to fulfill specific business needs for your organization. These apps are typically not available on the public application stores and are tailored to your organization unique requirement. So here it shows the supported file extensions. Let's read this. To add a custom or in-house app, upload app installation file. Make sure the file extension matches the app's intended platform. Intune support the following line of business app, platform, and extensions. So it support APK, Android.apk file format, iOS IPA file format, macOS .pkg format, and for the Windows in the case of Windows, it support MSI.appx and MSIX bundle. So all these format it supported. So we select this, select the package file for your application for your app. So we upload the package file here. So I select uh, my custom application here and upload that file here. Click on OK. Now here you can provide the basic details about that applications like name, description, publisher, and other details. Name, you can give a application a clear and descriptive name for easy identification. So I name it as monitor agent, monitor agent. And description, you can give a detailed description here. In my case, I'm just putting it as monitor agent. Publisher, you can give the publisher name. I don't have a specific publisher name to be specified here, so I just mentioned agent. Only these four options are mandatory. If you required, you can provide it here and click on next. Here comes the assignment. Choose the appropriate user group. In our case, this application which we have selected is used to monitor the security breaches on the laptop for the retailer shop usage. So I have to select that particular group. As it's a lab environment, I just allocate to add all users and all devices. In your case, make sure you allocate to the appropriate group and click on next and create it. The deployment process will take time. Normally, it may take up to 24 hours or 48 hours to get reflected on all the machines, get installed on all the machines. So you can monitor it in the monitor tab here and the devices installation status. You can check it out. So in my case, it's not installed in any of the devices. If you go to the overview, you could see presently it is not installed with any of the machines. It will take some time, like up to 24 hours to 48 hours it takes to get reflected on all the machines. By following along, you should have a good understanding of what Intune offers. I encourage you to create a free trial account in Intune and explore the options we have learned about so far. Alright, let's move on. Bring your own devices. BYOD. Bring your own devices. Which means using your personal devices for work purposes. This could be your laptop, Android phone, or iOS devices. We will cover how to enroll and manage these devices. The easiest way to enroll personal devices into Intune is through Company Portal app. So let's explore how to install and configure Company Portal app in your Android and iOS devices. Additionally, we will learn how to deploy store apps to Android and iOS devices. But before that, let's understand what is Company Portal is. So what is Intune Company Portal? As a definition, we can say it as Intune Company Portal is an app developed by Microsoft that allows employees to securely access their company's resources on their personal devices. So in your mobile phone, your own personal device, personal mobile phone, you want to access your company resources like the customized applications or your OneDrive or any other company resources you want to access it. You can install Company Portal on your mobile phone, and you can configure it. When you configure it, it get enrolled with Intune, and you can access your company resources through Company Portal. So Company Portal is the official app that enables employees to securely access corporate resources. Now let's see what Intune Company Portal does. What are the benefits of installing Company Portal? The first benefit is that provide access to company resources, as mentioned just now. This include work email, internal apps, and cloud storage like OneDrive for business and all that stuff. So you can access all those company resources through Company Portal. Then the second advantage is that simplify device enrollment. Employees can use the app to enroll their devices like phone, tablets, laptops in the company's mobile device management system, which is nothing but Intune. So through Company Portal, you can enroll your devices to Intune. This ensures the device meets the security standard before accessing work data. So they verify all the security standards before accessing the work data. And the third advantage is that manage work apps. User can browse and install company approved application through Company Portal, which means through Intune, I'm pushing some applications, I'm approving some application that can be installed on your machine. So you can go to Company Portal and install, because this is an approved application from the Intune administrator, and you can just install it and start using that. And boost security, that is the fourth advantage of using Company Portal. This app can remotely wipe a lost or stolen devices to protect sensitive company information. It may also enforce PIN or password requirement on the device. So I think it doesn't require much explanation on that. So it is something like it boosts security. So installing Company Portal, you can, if you are using Android phone, go to Play Store and search for the Intune Company Portal and install it. If you are using the iOS, go to App Store and install, search for Intune Company Portal and install it. It's as simple as that. Now comes how we can enroll the device, how we can configure the Company Portal. So enroll the devices. First thing, open the Company Portal app, sign in with your work or school account. You will have a cloud. You will have a your organization cloud account. Log into your Company Portal with that account. If prompted to review notification permission for the Company Portal, you just do that. You can adjust notification permission anytime in the settings app. Then you are prompted to accept your organization terms and condition. Click on accept all. See, the issue is that I cannot show it in my my mobile device, because I don't have a screen recorder, any application I have not installed on my personal device. So that is the reason why I am showing the step by step the available document in the public domain. So you can easily follow this to enroll the device. So once if you enroll that device, what happens? A personal container will be created on your Android device, and all the application that has been pushed from the Intune
will be displayed there. Okay, and we'll go back to this. Review your organization can and cannot see. You should understand what organization can see and cannot see. When we ask the users to install company portal, they will be bit scared to will scared because they think that their personal device data will be seen by the Intune administrator. The company can never see call and web history. No, your call and web history cannot be seen by your Intune administrator or anybody from your organization. Your location, email and text messages, no, not your email or text message cannot be seen by the Intune administrator. Contacts, passwords, calendar, camera roll, so all these items cannot be seen by the Intune administrator, but the Intune administrator can see your model number of your device, serial number, operating system, app names, owner, device name, manufacturer, phone number of corporate devices. So all these details can be seen by the Intune administrator, but not your call history or your web history, location, emails. Such things cannot be seen by your organization. So if you move down, see, I can keep the link in the description, so you can just follow it to configure the company portal in your mobile device, in your Android or iOS device. So steps are similar both in the Android and the iOS devices, and anybody can do this. This is not a big task. Just click next, and it will get installed and configured. As I mentioned, once this company portal installed and configured properly, what happens from the Intune admin center, the device will be listed here, will be enrolled. The device will be enrolled in the Intune admin center, and Intune administrator can view your device here. If you are enroll your Android devices, the Android device will be listed here. If it is an any iOS or iPad OS device, then it comes under this menu. For the user, a separate container, as I mentioned earlier, a separate container will be created in your mobile device, and inside that container, and it may be named as work profile, and inside that work profile, all the application that is pushed from the Intune will be visible there. Now let us see how we can deploy store apps to your Windows, Android and iOS devices. As you have installed company portal on your mobile devices, once the store app deployed from the Intune admin center, it will be get displayed on the company portal. Certain apps will be approved status. You can go there and install it and start using that. Let's see how we can deploy store apps from Intune admin center. For that, you have to click on apps, click on all app. You could see the application that I have already deployed from the Intune admin center. Now to add a new store, to deploy a new application, I have to click on add button here and select the platform. In our case, first we will send to Microsoft our laptops from the Microsoft Store app. Select. Here we have to search for the Microsoft Store apps. Now we will push Adobe Reader. Yeah, Adobe Acrobat Reader. I select that. So all the details are taken automatically. Click on next and assign to the particular designated group members. In my case, I am allocating to add all user and all devices. Click on next, review and create it. So you can, in this way, you can very easily you can deploy the store apps to Windows devices. Now let's see how we can do these two iOS devices. For that, again go back to the all apps, click on add button, select iOS store app, click on select, and again search for the same thing. Search for the app. I'm searching for Adobe Reader. Yeah, you could see Adobe Acrobat Reader here and PDF Reader. So I select the first one and select it. Details are taken automatically from the store. Click next, assign to a particular group. When it comes to Android, it is bit different. It is again we'll see that. To do that, again go back to apps, click on all apps, click add and manage the Google Play app. managed Google Play app, click on that, select it. And let's select Adobe Acrobat Reader. Click on select and click on sync. So that will be listed here. So in the Intune company portal, it will be displayed as approved app. So we can install it there. So that's an overall about how we can deploy store apps to all the different platforms. Let's talk about the security. What happens if someone start using company data on their personal devices? Is it secure? What if someone transfer the data outside of these approved applications to another applications or send it to someone unauthorized? There comes the importance of app protection policy. And app protection policy can help to prevent these situations. This policy is going to help us with making sure that when users are using their devices, they are prevented from sharing information outside of that device. Okay, let's create an app protection policy. To do that, log into the intune.microsoft.com, click on apps, and if you scroll down, you could see app protection policies here. Click on that, and here we have to create this policy. When we expand this, we could see it. We can create this policy for the different platform like iOS, iPadOS, Android devices, Windows, and Windows information protection. First thing, we'll create it for the iOS and iPadOS. So I'm clicking on this option. We have to name it for this policy. I'm giving the name as iOS app protection. You have to give a detailed description here for the future reference. Presently I'm giving it the same as the name. Now click on next. Here it asks for the policy target. To which app we have to target it, all applications or all Microsoft applications, core Microsoft apps. So we can select that here. In my case, I am selecting it as all applications, and click on next. Here we have to enable and disable a lot of settings. First, let us read this, what it exactly does. These groups includes the data loss prevention controls like cut, copy, paste, and save as restrictions. These settings determine how users interact with the data in the applications. All right, so let us do the settings one by one. Data transfer. Backup organization data to iTunes or iCloud backups, which means your organization data backup will you allow to take to iCloud or iTunes backups. So if you allow it, the data backup will be taken to iCloud and iTunes. If you block it, it will not be. Send organization data to other applications. So if you click on the description here, you can see here we have option none, policy managed apps, policy managed app with OS sharing, policy managed app with open in and sharing filter. So send the organization data to other application. Our organization data will be allowed to send to other application. So we can keep it as none, which means you are not allowing. Here it is, explanation is here. Do not allow sending organization data to any application. If you click none, which means do not allow sending organization data to any applications. If we give policy managed application, only allow sending the organization data to other policy managed apps. Policy managed apps is nothing but the application we deployed from Intune. So if you provide policy managed apps, which means you are allowing sending organization data to other policy managed applications. And we have one more other option, policy managed app with OS sharing and policy managed app with open in and sharing filtering. So I do not allow, or we can allow send organization data to other apps. So I'm giving policy managed apps. And if you come down here, restrict, cut, copy and paste between other applications. If you read the restriction, here you could see cut, copy and paste data between your application and other approved apps installed on the device. Choose to block these actions completely between apps. Allow these actions for the use with any app or restrict use to app that your organization manages. So here we have completely blocked, which means you will not be able to block. If it is blocked, it says it will be completely blocked. If you select block, it will be completely blocked, and you can restrict it between policy managed apps, completely blocking it. And character limit, let it be 0. And we have so many other settings here, like third party keyboard, encryption of organization data, so you can check it and select it accordingly. Let's click on next. Here comes the credentials requirement that user must meet to access application in the work context. So you can keep PIN for access. If you read the description, you can see that if required, a PIN must be used to access policy managed apps. User must create an access PIN the first time that they open the app from your app or from your work or school account. So you can set a PIN. Basically, you can set a PIN for to access your organization data. And the setting for the PIN, you can select it here. Let it be numeric or passcode, or you can keep a symbol PIN is allowed or no. Select minimum, let it be allowed. Select minimum length, you can keep it as 6 to 16. Sorry, 4 to 16. I keep it as 6. And please reset after the number of days. You can select all other settings for this PIN. Let it be 6, and I click on next. Here come what action to be taken in case if they are not setting the PIN, or if they are giving a wrong PIN for 5 times or some consecutively. If they are giving a wrong PIN, what action to be taken? So maximum PIN attempts, you can keep it as 4. So what the action to be taken? Reset the PIN. In case of 4 wrong PIN attempts, then they have to reset the PIN. And offline grace period, you can give some date here. So if it is offline for 180 days, you have to block the access, or you can give like office grace period after the 180 days. Within 90 days, if they are not, again if it is offline, you can wipe the data. And those conditional settings, you can set it here. Let's click on next. And assignment, here you will have to assign to the designated group. Select all users, select, review and create it. So this is the way how we can create app protection policy for iOS devices. Now let's see how we can do it for the Android device. Again, let's go back to the apps. Go to app protection policies, create policy, select Android and name it like app protection on Android devices and Android devices. Give a detailed description here for the future reference and click on next. Here the same thing, target policy to all apps or Microsoft apps. Again, say the same data protection, backup organization data to Android backup service. So the only difference is that in iOS backup, we will prevent the backup to take to iOS cloud. In case of Android, it take to Android backup service. So we block that or allow it accordingly. Send the organization data to other application. The same thing, all application and policy managed apps. You could see those options, the same options here. Restrict, cut, copy of paste between other apps. Here we can provide it as blocked, or you can give us policy managed apps, and many other settings here. If it's required, we can, if we are not aware of that, you can just click on the description and read and understand it, and accordingly you can allow or block it. Click on next. Have to give the PIN number, set the minimum length for the PIN. The same, what all settings we have done for the iOS, the same settings we have here. Next, the conditional launch assignment, same thing. So in this way you can create it for Android even. I'm currently pausing this video series, and we will start a new video series on Copilot from next week onwards. So that's it. We will meet you in the other video. Till then, goodbye.